our monthly live stream. My name is Bobby Umar. I am a five-time TEDx speaker and Inc. Magazine top 100 leadership speaker, and I help people land a TEDx talk to build their personal brand and thought leadership. And with me, as always, for our monthly live stream, I bring in some really awesome people that I know. And today's topic is actually really special to me because I'm a big believer in the power of community. And I brought in two people who are special to me because they have their own really powerful communities. And these are communities that I've actually invested time, energy, and money into because investing in them and their brand, what they've done has been really inspiring for me. So this is brought to you by the Thought Leaders Brand Club, which does a monthly live stream just to share thought leaders from around the world sharing their expertise. And the topic today is how to leverage community to grow your business. But I'll start actually, if you're part of this conversation, make sure you comment below, let us know where you're from, where you're calling from. If you have questions, you're more than welcome to share. If you like the conversation, you can share with your networks, and that's totally fine too. But in the meantime, I'd love to just get some introductions going. So let's start with Leah Turner. Please go ahead and introduce yourself to the crowd.
Gosh, I haven't done one of these in ages.
I know, right? Sorry.
So my name's Leah Turner. I'm a 2 times business founder, and I have quite a large presence on LinkedIn, which was the first community I started to grow, which I then leveraged by starting a business teaching other people how to get clients on LinkedIn after I'd done it very successfully myself. And then I noticed a need within a lot of the clients and the people I was interacting with to have a community support that was more formalized than just on LinkedIn, but also not like all the other business networking groups that I'd known about, which were much more stiff and formal, or all women or all people from a certain industry. And I wanted to create something that was really diverse, where everyone could feel comfortable being themselves and wanted to help each other, as well as be able to find help for themselves. And that's what I created it with the HALT membership that I started 18 months ago. And we've now got over 400 members in over 20 different countries. And it's the nicest place to spend time. It's not just useful with what we provide as part of the membership, but it's also a place where people feel really safe to ask questions and vent problems and get support. And yeah, I'm really proud of it.
Yeah, and my experience in there has been really great, and so I'm really glad that you've been doing that, Leah. We'll get into that a little bit more. Carlos, please introduce yourself.
Thanks, Roy. Well, thanks first of all for having me here. It's always a pleasure. I have so much fun on this call with you. My name is Carlos Adell, and then I could say I'm a recovering engineer, and I would say also that I'm a recovering coach. And I built like several businesses, being the second last one, a coaching business. And it was, to me, it was very obvious how important it was to build a community. So when you can coach people, you can help people, but it's when you surround yourself with the right people that you really get the value of whatever you're trying to learn. And been in business for a very long time, and I came like a couple of years ago. I had to be honest with myself, and even though I was pursuing the coaching business and the coaching career and having all this success and being always there and all online and being the leader in your community, I realized at some point that I didn't want to do it anymore. That I'm more of an introvert, and even though I enjoy my communities, I don't want to. I participate in a different way now, and I was very happy to join you here today because community is super important, audience is super important. But today with the online world, a lot of people what they want is to automate everything and make everything work automatically, and they try to shortcut a lot of like a big part of the things that they should be doing. And building an audience and a community is one of the things that I always say you cannot take shortcuts here. You cannot automate some things. So now I'm helping the people to automate stuff, but also, making sure that they take care of the things that they should never be automated, or use AI to do them for you, which is community is one of the biggest ones.
Yeah, and I think I'd add to that, I now run the Thought Leaders Brand Club community, which was a community actually started on Clubhouse, and we had all these people and part of the community. And then only this year I decided to turn to a membership community, and based on inspiration from people like what Leah Turner was doing, what you had done, Carlos. I want to talk briefly about something you mentioned, which is you said you're an introvert, and I know Leah would also probably, I'm going to say, describe herself as an introvert. Now I'm a flaming extrovert, 100% extrovert, and so for me, I find the challenge of community sometimes where it's like, okay, you know, I have to like be engaged, but it's a different kind of engagement than me being at a live event, which I definitely thrive upon. I was wondering if you guys can comment on this idea, like the introvert. I mean, how is it? Is it when you're an introvert and you're in a community? I mean, do you find that is it easier because it's digital, or do you find is it because it's more control? Like, I'd love to get your thoughts on that perspective.
Sorry,
Go ahead, Leah. Sorry.
From my perspective, it's so much easier being an introvert running a community because my community is all about other people. It's not all about me. So that makes me much more comfortable as an introvert because I can make the conversations and everything is about serving the people that are paying me money to be there and doing what's right for them and everything about them, asking them questions about themselves, helping them to get to know each other. Whereas on stage, it's all about me and all eyes are on me. And community, you're diverting people's eyes to one another. That's the point in community building. It's not like I'm sat there in the middle like a puppet master trying to get everybody's attention all the time. I'm trying to match people up and help them and serve them. So it's, for me, it feels a lot different. I don't know if
Carlos, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and you know, like community should be about the community, not about whoever is leading the community. Otherwise, it's not about the community anymore. Yeah, it's a great point. I don't know. In my case, like I think no one is 100% an introvert or 100% an extrovert. We all have. I think it's like we all have a little percentage. I do enjoy like being in the spotlight sometimes and being the leader of the community, because I feel like when I was running my community, yes, it was the power of the community, but I felt like I always had to be there to take care of everyone because they were, you know, they were paying not only for being in the community, but also to having me to lead the way for them. So I think one of the reasons I stopped doing that is because I had to be honest with myself, and as I said before, and the introverted part of myself won. And now I fulfill my extrovert needs doing live events or or interviews or workshops or challenges every once in a while. But yeah, it's like it's I mean, it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. Running a community or being a coach or whatever it is that you do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the other thing I think about when I think about community is that there's communities that you are leading or running. There's other ones where you're a part of another community too, and I think that there's also a bit of give and take with that. I kind of like what you said about the being accessible piece. I think that's something that I kind of struggle with in terms of how much do I have to be accessible to respond to everyone's stuff, and so sometimes I can get consumed by that. And because one of the things about me that people know is that one of my brands, I'm very responsive. When someone sends me a message or they do a post, I will respond very, very quickly to it because I feel like I need to do that. When it comes to running the communities that you did, I mean, Carlos, you kind of mentioned that, but Leah, I mean, obviously you're quite involved in your community, you're answering questions and things like that. But I also know that you're trying to transition into doing this full time. So can you talk a bit about that? Because most people, I know you, and I've known you for a couple of years as the LinkedIn expert. And so now you're transitioning. Can you talk a bit? Carl talked about his transition, how he ran a community that he left, and now you are also transitioning. Can you talk about that?
So the transition for me is more heart-led. I've loved being a LinkedIn trainer, but I think one of the reasons that I've been so good as a LinkedIn trainer is because the methods that I teach for people to get those leads and get what they want on LinkedIn is based in community. So that's been the kind of heart and soul of everything that I've done on LinkedIn is, and in terms of what I teach, it's all been based on community and supporting others and building your brand by being somebody that people remember because you've given them something, you've supported them, you've been present. for me, the goal now, so we've just gone over 400 members. We opened the doors a couple of weeks ago and got another 100 members, and we're opening again in January. We're not going to do 100 members next time, it'll be smaller. But I'm looking to grow it, and every time we get another 300 members, we'll bring in an extra community manager. So I've got an amazing VA, Danielle, who's a really good friend of mine as well. And she's been part of the Halt since we started. So she knows the members as well as I do. She's a very involved member as it was. And now she's a community manager. We're going to bring in another community manager when we hit 600 members, and that will be somebody on a different time zone, because we've got members all over the world in all different time zones. So we want to make sure there's people available for everybody. For me, the goal at the moment is to get to 800 members, and then I will stop LinkedIn training and go all in on running the membership with a view to growing it and having community reps in different countries, in different cities, do community events, really fight that kind of solopreneur loneliness that people have and bring people together. They're already arranging like coffee dates and meetups within the local chat channels. We've got some local chat channels we've recently added for places, especially in the UK, where we've got hubs of lots of people. But for me, it's like, this is the thing that I'm really good at. And it's taken kind of like 3 and a bit years for me to go, okay, but what's the common thing? What's the common thing that all of this comes down to? And it's community. I'm in there every single day, even on my days off. I'm always in the community. I'm not responding to absolutely everything. But the beautiful thing about the community is I've answered so many of the questions, and Danielle's got an entire glossary of all my different answers for everything. And she's exceptionally good on LinkedIn as it is. So, and with her own business. So the good thing about the community and how supportive and involved everybody is that now when somebody asks a question, you've got 10 different people that have had that same problem that will jump in and answer the question. So even if I don't get to answer that particular question, they've got a variety of answers to choose from. It's not all on my shoulders now, because there's so many people with great experiences that you can get those answers from. And I think I've just been, for me, I want to build that. For me, the LinkedIn training there's no long-term future in it, because it's just me, and I don't want to franchise it. I don't want to accredit other trainers. I want to create something that can have massive impact, that I can scale and bring in amazing people to help me. And I can't do that through LinkedIn training. So the community gives me much more opportunity to flex my marketing skills, flex my community building skills, employ people, support people, and do it like at scale, and eventually mean that I don't have to work 50 hours a week, because I've got a team that supports me, and I can focus more on growth and development than like the day-to-day running. So I can just be in the community and enjoy being there, but not have to be like dealing with all the behind the scenes stuff.
Right. I mean, it brings up a lot of things that I thought about. So number one, I think all three of us are community building or have experience in community building in different ways. Like, you're doing it to do it full time. Carlos did it, and then he left and doing his own thing right now. And then me, I'm doing it, but my goal is not to have it be the primary thing that I do. I mean, my number one love is to professionally speak on stage, out there in front of hundreds of people. That's my main thing. But this is definitely something I realize is important for all of us to build. So that's why I'm investing time and energy into it. And the second thing you said that really got my attention was having that one or two people that love what you're doing. They're part of the community and they're helping build it and grow it. So I'll do a special shout out that in the TLB club, Melanie Mitchell-Wexler is kind of like my second in command. She's like doing all this stuff, and I love her for it. Shout out to you, Melanie. You're amazing. And I think in the future probably that there's things that she and maybe a few other people might kind of run with, which I love. I love when people run with something. I think that's really great. I want to go to Carlos, and obviously when you first launched your community, were there people that were there one or two or three people that were kind of the pivotal people to help you grow it because they were just like enthusiastically there? I mean, can you talk a bit about that, Carlos?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's an issue that everyone that I know that started a community they run into, which is like as the community grows, you can't keep up like being there for everyone all the time. And as Leah said, like the beautiful thing about a good community is that, its members step in, and sometimes you join a community because Leah, or whoever has built the community, but then you realize that the value that's added by other members, it's even higher than what you expected from the person who's running the community. In my case, what I realized that, when you build a community, and my community wasn't as big as Leah's, but what you see is like there's people in there that are really committed, really excited about being part of the community, really step into when someone asks for help, they're very willingly supporting these other people. And for me, the easiest way to up being appreciated with these people was to give them like some roles in within the community. Because training someone that doesn't know your business, that doesn't know your community, that comes from someone who comes from the outside, and hoping that they will be delivering or helping your community members as well as you would do. In my case, it's been always very unrealistic. So in what we did is we took members of this same community that were very involved, and they were also growing within the community, to use the community not only to get a job or to do something that they want to do, but also to grow as professionals, as maybe to grow their businesses or to grow their own communities within the community. And it worked really well. My best, I don't like to call them employees, but the best people that worked with me, it's been people that I worked for them in the past, or clients of mine.
Right.
Definitely hands down.
No, I love that. Thanks. And if you're listening, guys, make sure we have some really amazing people here on the live stream. So Carlos, Adell, Leah Turner. If you have a question for them, or you want to share comments, I know some people are sharing comments in the chat box. So if you put it there, we can share them. Here's one from I don't know what it is. Leah is LinkedIn. She's the best. So please more can learn from her. See, like there's a lot of love here. We got that one, and then of course John said the 3 goats in one stream. Let's LFG, which is great. And then, of course, John also promoted the TLB Club, which is fantastic. Hopefully, I can beat Netflix after that. So that's been great. And other people have been sharing some comments. There's Andrea saying, thanks for sharing insight into the struggles of running a community. And we can talk a bit more about that, too. And obviously, I want to get you to give me some more insights into this. But there's already a question. So let's get into a question here. I'm not sure it's specifically around the community, but we can relate to the community. So how important has it been to find your niche or niche in terms of how you pronounce that? So let's go to Leah for that one.
I don't know if I have a niche, really. I don't really subscribe to that personally. I know it works for a lot of people, but for me, variety is important, or I lose interest. And I think the niche for the community has been creating something that I wanted as a small business owner, because I was lonely and I needed various different services and various different support, and I never knew who I could trust. So if I pay this copywriter, are they actually going to be any good, or am I going to spank thousands of pounds down the drain because I've chosen someone badly? And having that network of people that I trust and respect, and who quite often offer each other discounts for their services, I was like, this will work really, really well if we offer exclusive discounts for community members, if we can jump on calls and quickly give each other a few tips. It's like, that would have been so valuable to me, like a library of people that are great at what they do, that want to help, that can offer free advice if it's just a quick one, or discount advice if it's a big one. I'm like, that for me was like, I created what I wanted. It wasn't based on a niche. It was creating what I knew I needed and would have benefited me most at the beginning of my business journey. And that's what guided me. And then once it was created, the users guided me, like the members and what they needed has guided me. And I've listened to them and taken into consideration what's going to work for everybody else as well, and created, let them shape the future of it and responded to their needs. And I think that's the biggest oversight a lot of community builders make. They make what they want to make, and then they stick to it. and they don't listen. And actually, you're not going to get it right first time. You have to see who's signing up and who wants to stay and what's going to keep them, and make more of that, do more of that.
Yeah, I think that there's been, and there's certain other groups out there that, like I know John Esperian runs one that's specifically around LinkedIn. Richard Vanderbaum runs one as well, and I know another friend of mine, Samantha Kelly, runs one specifically for Twitter. And so they've niched that way. I mean, for me, I would say niching has been. I think niching is important for your brand, for your work, like in terms of what I speak about or what I'm doing. But for community, again, I think that's something I've struggled with. What exactly am I trying to bring people in for? And you're right, Lee, I've been in your group and I've seen that, yeah, you basically have, it's very broad and it's all these different people from walks of life who, and one of the reasons what's interesting is I joined your group because I was considering which ones I want to join. And I joined yours specifically because I felt that you had a broad range of areas and expertise, but more particularly, I thought you were just really good at business development. I wasn't actually coming to you for the LinkedIn specifically. It was for the broad range of what I saw. And then I saw there's even more in the community, which I think is good. And then I joined Carlos' community specifically for a very niche thing I needed help with, which was I didn't know much about sales. And I was like, you know what, I need help. So I joined his for that specific niche. So I think that they can serve, depending on how you want to set up your group. I mean, because yours is more general, you also kind of think can have a more expanded base of people that are part of it. And then others, like I know John Esperian told me he's limiting the number of people in his group, and that's the way he wants to run it. And then for me with Thought Leadership Brand Club, it's such a broad topic, so I had to be very specific. Well, how do I communicate what exactly I'm going to do for these people? And I lay it out with a model that I share with 5 different elements of thought leadership brand that I'm trying to help people with, depending on what they need. Carlos, what are your thoughts on finding your niche?
Yeah, it's a great question. I feel like, because everyone's gonna tell you that you need to find your niche, and it's like the Sangreal. If you don't have a niche, you can build a business. And the question is like, what are you trying to build? And you said it before, Bobby. Like, what are you trying to build? What is, in the case of Leah, she's like, well, I want to build something because as an entrepreneur, I feel lonely, and I want to build a community around me, and this evolves into something else. So there is not a right or wrong question. I think the question we should ask is, what are you trying to build? And if you're starting out running a business and you're becoming an entrepreneur and you need to generate money, I would say, yes, you definitely need a niche, because when you're trying to exchange your services for money, it's very difficult when you're a generalist. But when you've already been running a business for a while, you have an idea of what you want, and you want to put people together and bring people together that can add different skills and bring different value to the table. You might. I mean, maybe your niche is experts that can bring value to other experts. It's a yes. It can be like a very not a clear answer. Like, you might not need a niche depending on what you try to accomplish. And since I changed my direction in business, I decided to stop listening to what everyone says and start asking questions and see what I was thinking about them and what were my answers. Because it's very easy to get drunk with all what we see on social media and what the gurus are telling you. I need to send like 1,000 messages every day, and you need to spam everyone on LinkedIn, and you need to send emails and have appointments and have a niche, and it's like, stop it. Like, first thing you need to understand is, who are you? What do you want to do in the world? What makes you happy? And what kind of business you want to build for yourself? And if this business involves having a community, well, then you'll figure out what kind of a community this has to be. But yeah, like I like to prioritize the human before how to make money. Like, you promise you want to be happy. You don't want to make money. You think money is gonna make you happy, but sometimes you're just pursuing like the wrong goal, and because you're asking the wrong questions.
I think that's such a good point that Carlos has just made, because I see a lot of people starting communities at the moment because they see it as a quick win. Like, I can get all these people signing up, all this extra recurring revenue every month, and they don't actually think how much really goes into it. Like, when you've got over 100 members, the amount of errors that happen with things like automation, or invoices get chased, or queries happen, or maybe there's been someone's had a conflict with another member, and you've got questions constantly coming in. And at the sort of 100 members point, you generally can't afford to bring somebody else in to help it. And I know I couldn't. It was good, but it was like, yeah, but I'm managing most of this myself. There are so many things that can go wrong. And we've got a really, really smooth process with ours. And it's all run by a team. Clover Collective run it for me behind the scenes. So they deal with all the tech issues, but there's still like people messaging me on a daily basis saying, oh, can I get a copy of this receipt? Even though we know, and I'm not blaming anybody, but even though we make it very clear in all of our onboarding where those inquiries should go, we will still get people on a daily basis saying, can you get me my invoice of that? Or can you get a copy because I've lost it, or blah, blah, blah. And it's relentless. And you think, people don't think about all of that. They don't think about actually how many hours of work it is for the founder to start with. And they end up losing interest in it. And you have to keep your members involved. You have to keep them in that chat, having conversations with each other, asking questions, getting involved yourself. You can't just open a membership and then sit back and let everybody talk amongst themselves, because they joined because of you. You're the common denominator in that group. And people, like, I see so many people starting and then going, well, this isn't quite as easy as I thought, and then giving it up after 6 months or a year. And I nearly did. Like, I was like, Jesus Christ, this is a lot. And then I found my groove with it, and I got help, and I was like, okay, this has got massive potential now, and I'm really enjoying it again. I definitely went through some struggles to get to that point, for sure. So yeah, I must hear every day people going, I'm thinking about starting a community. I'm like, you really need to think about it. Like, can you get a sustainable number? And is it going to be like, if you have 5 members that drop out 1 month, is that going to cause you a massive problem? Like, have you got an audience? Have you got enough interest to make this an actual genuine business possibility for you? Because there's no point in doing it if you're making $2,000 a month and it's taking you 10 hours, 12 hours more a week to deal with it. Like, you'd be better off putting your effort into your main business.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. That actually leads to another question someone else has asked, which is, how many iterations on a community may have happened? I mean, I can tell you that I started so TLB Club started as just a regular community. It was free, and we were just talking to each other, and that was about 1.5 years ago. But then we started the paid thing in June. But even since June, I've made shifts like 2 or 3 times. So maybe I'll put this to you, Carlos. I mean, you know, when you first launched the community, how did it keep changing, and how did you figure that out?
That's a great question, and I think that for as long as you're in business, the iterations never stop. And I'm gonna go back to what Leah said. You know, it's because it's like some people say, "Oh, Leah's got a community. She's got 400 members. Each member is paying that money. Oh, this is all this money. At the end of the year, I want to build a community." And what they're missing is like all the 18 hours days that Leah's been working on that, like getting messages on Sunday, like doing a lot of stuff that, unless you're very passionate about what you're doing and you really want to do it, because it is who you are and what you want to do, you know, it's not going to be sustainable. It's not going to be worth all the money. So, you know, this is why I'm a big advocate about not following every social media trend, because I did it for many years. Like I pursued every single dream that was thrown my way. And I realized it wasn't making me happy. And the thing is that what makes you happy today, and the community that you build today, if it's a community or a business, it might not make you happy tomorrow. So you might want to iterate again and add something or remove something or change something. So I don't think I never get anything right 100%, because there's always room for improvement. And as an entrepreneur, you always want to do things better and make it bigger and make it nicer and make it smoother and make it, you know, more profitable or more valuable for clients. And I think maybe I'm just an inconformist, if that's the right word. But you know, it's one of the core of being an entrepreneur. You always want to do better. You always want to improve things. So I don't know, Leah, what's your experience? Like, do you think you already got it right?
Yeah, I think when I first launched it, the ideas that I had for what I was creating definitely were exactly what I wanted to create, but it's improved massively, and it's been guided by feedback that I've had from people that have left, people that I've feedback that I've had from people that have stayed. I know that to start with, it was designed badly, not badly, it was adequate. It worked, but it wasn't efficient. And it wasn't a smooth process for people that are onboarding necessarily. It wasn't intuitive, or not as intuitive as I wanted it to be. And then we moved over to an app called Heartbeat in October. And we literally moved everybody one by one because we had to transfer all the payments from Kajabi and Slack. And now we've got an all-in-one platform that is fantastic. And it's not perfect. There are still glitches, and we still have to have, flag up things occasionally, but it is such a better experience. The onboarding process we've nailed now. The offboarding process is pretty smooth. But I think the biggest lesson for me was the ongoing marketing and not letting people just come and go as they want, making sure that I've got launches planned multiple times a year, because the management, like on a daily basis, we've got people coming or people leaving. Like, no, we're just going to do intakes regularly. And the processes around like the emails and the member support, like all of that has improved massively over time, and the value that we offer as well, because we're building up a library of masterclasses from experts. So people just get so much value. But I wouldn't say we've had massive different iterations. It's just massive. We've improved and developed and got better at what we're doing the longer we've been doing it. We've only been going 18 months. And the fact that we've managed to jump to over 400 members, and it was like 6 months ago, we were about 150. So we've grown massively really quickly. That's been hard to navigate, to make sure that we're prioritizing the existing members and keeping them in mind as we grow, because we don't want to, and we'll lose people that are like, oh, this is bigger than I was wanting to join originally. It will happen, but we've got plans to safeguard their experiences as we go forward as well. It's just a constant, like Carlos, you said, it's a constant evolution, a constant learning experience. You have to pay attention to all of the things that are going right, not just stick your head in the sand and think, oh, they'll stay, they won't leave. They will. You need to have ongoing marketing. You have to keep supporting, you have to keep making them feel appreciated, and have to stay on top of it all and design for the future and plan for, how big you want to get it.
I have a question for you, because as I'm working with my community, which is small to start, there's people that are there, and then they pay to be there, but then they don't really show up or engage on things, and I feel bad that I'm not serving them. But we have these weekly calls, but the number of people who show up is probably 25% or less, or sometimes even 10% of the people that are in the community. And so I'm just like, am I not serving them well, or am I not communicating enough? And I feel bad about that.
Do you record?
What's that?
You record the calls?
I do. So the trainings that we do, we record them and I send it out to the members. But I still feel bad that maybe some of them never show up even once. And so I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or I feel bad about it. So what do you think about that?
No, I bet Carlos will say the same. You will get people that will sign up because you'll have done a launch, they've got excited, they've thought, yeah, I can definitely sign up, I really want to do this. They've signed up, they've paid, and then they don't do it. I think there's some mad statistic that about 27% of people actually complete digital courses, because people will buy something out of a scarcity mindset. You've done a really great launch, they know they want it, then they get it and they forget about it because they get busy with life. We've got a lot of members, and in fact, when we switched over from Kajabi to Heartbeat, we lost, I think, 25 members, but we lost them because they forgot they were a member. They forgot that they bought it, even though they were getting emails every week about masterclasses, even though they were got money's going out of their account every month. They just didn't engage, and it's demotivating for me as well. It upsets me. I'm like, you've paid for this. I'll keep taking your money if you want, but I want to want you to get the benefit of this. There's always just going to be people that, I don't know, have more money than sense, or aren't great at managing their time, or they go into it with the best intentions and can't keep up with it. So, I mean, I stopped the payments of a few of them because they hadn't moved over, and I could have kept my Kajabi account open and kept taking their money even though they hadn't moved to the new app. I mean, I can't do that. Like, I'm not going to take £700 a month from people that haven't even moved over to the new app. They're not getting anything, and I could have easily done it until they noticed, but I couldn't. In my head, I was like, I can't be that person. So yeah, I think you kind of just have to nudge them every now and then, and I do nudge them every now and then. Say, I haven't seen you in the Hulk for a while, but ultimately, like, some people will buy things and it will sit in a cupboard and they never use it.
Yeah, so, it feels like a gym membership, you know.
Yeah.
People sign up for the gym. Carlos, what do you think?
Oh, a lot of people think that they, it's like the guy saying, I started the gym in January. It's August and I haven't seen any result. I'm just going to go there and see what's going on and why I haven't seen any result. Well, because you didn't show up. But people have the feeling, and we all have the feeling, that when we pay for something that we think it's going to help us, like, as subconsciously, 75% of the job is done. You've already paid, you took the action, and then when it comes to time to take, to do something about it or something with it, people forget. And I totally get your feeling, because I remember, like, sometimes having group calls or people in the community never showing up and paying like big ticket, like a lot of money, and they don't show up. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And the worst thing you can do is to take it personally and think that you're doing something wrong, because you never know what's going on in someone else's life. And, the best thing that you can do is, hey, ask for feedback, which is what Lee is doing. And I know that you do it as well. Say, hey, is there any reason why you're not showing up? I mean, if you have 400 members, you might not be able to reach out to 50 if they don't show up. But if you can do it personally, you get some feedback and then you improve and you say, is there anything I could do better? Is there another time that we can get on a call? And if you can get some feedback, you get it and you improve it. Otherwise, you just do the best you can, and people are going to slack off, unfortunately. And,
Yeah, and the question that Melanie asked is, what's the best way to get feedback from members in terms of what they're looking for, areas of improvement? I mean, do you just send it a survey or just ask them in calls? Like, what's the best way to get their feedback?
For me, like, what I always think is, like, I always try to make it the most personal I can whenever it's possible. Like, if you have like 10 members, I'm not going to send them an email with a survey. I'm going to just call them, send them a personal message on social media, get them on a call, try to get some feedback. Also, it depends on many factors, right? But if you have like 1,000 members or like a massive community, you obviously cannot get on a call with each one of them. But I think you need to measure what is worth your time, but definitely getting feedback. Like, a lot of business owners, they run the business and they just do whatever they think is working. They never ask their clients, and then clients keep falling off, and then they wonder why. Well, you just did whatever you thought it was going to be good for them, but you never asked them what was valuable. So your mission is to add value to the clients.
My members are pretty vocal with their feedback in the chat. So if there's something not working, they'll quite often DM me or the tech channel and say, this, I'm finding this a bit difficult. And usually we've got a solution, because most of the things we've thought about in advance. But we also have like an email that goes out when people leave. There's an automated email that comes out and says, we're really sorry to see you go. We'd love some feedback of why it was that you chose to leave. And the most part, we have the feedback is just that they're pulling their belts in a little bit, because like, it's a little bit of a tough time of year and they just can't afford, they can't justify the extra monthly outgoing. That's the main thing. It's just can't be. It's a luxury that they can't justify when there are more important things for them to be paying for. One that came up a few times was that people are finding it overwhelming because there's so much going on. There's so much chat, like the chat channels on mine are insanely busy all of the time. And while we couldn't save the members that we lost, obviously, at that point. We can then go, okay, but what can we change for other members that might be feeling the same? And so we have recorded a video to help them to manage their notifications, which we're going to be posting to reduce the overwhelm. And we've also we've also added local chat channels that I mentioned earlier, so that if people don't want to constantly be overwhelmed with the general chat, they can still use the general chat and the other channels for asking questions. They can also go into regional chats and speak with other local business owners that they can arrange like in-person stuff with. That we don't monitor those channels all the time. They're not run by admins, but it means that they can chat amongst themselves without it being like a chat channel for 400 other people. So it's asking the questions and paying attention to what's happening in the chats as well. But I'm lucky to say that the overwhelming amount of feedback has always been like 99.9% extremely positive. So must be doing something wrong.
No, that's great. And I'll this will segue, and again, people are sharing comments and questions, and we're not going to get to every single one because there's lots here, and I have a couple of things I want to share with these guys. You mentioned, Aaliyah, about onboarding and and how that's important. And I can tell you that when I joined Hold, your onboarding thing, we had a one-on-one. You said, what'd you like? The onboarding was amazing. It was very, very detailed, and I felt like part of it, and I was immersed. I was like, man, this is like really, really polished. So I think that was something, and that's something, of course, I try to do better with. When people join TLB Club, they get an email, they get added to the WhatsApp group, the LinkedIn group, and then I, send them a personal message. But but what you did was actually really, really well done. So I kind of want to get to the top tips here for growing a community. So maybe I'll go to Carlos first, then Leah can talk. But like, what are some of your top advice or tips for if you want to grow a healthy, vibrant, or thriving community?
I would say like the first thing you need to do, and since you mentioned the onboarding, I think the onboarding is crucial. You join a community, you're probably paying to be in this part of community. First thing you wanna feel welcome. You wanna feel like that you're someone in that community. So what it worked for us, it was like giving like a lot of personal touch, having like a really close onboarding process, getting people very welcome, making them feel welcome into the community. And there is one thing here that it will depend entirely on how good you've been treating the previous members and how engaged your community is. The best thing that can happen, in my opinion, because I've been in communities and I had my own community, is when you join a community and the other, not only the owner of the community or whoever is getting paid for you to be there is welcoming you, but everyone else is raving about the community. I say, oh my gosh, we are welcome to the community. You're gonna have so much fun here. This is gonna be amazing. It's gonna change your life. And I've been in communities that they've been like that. Like I was paying like a lot of money to be coached by someone, but at the end, I didn't even care about the coaching. The only thing I wanted to be is in the community, because every time you ask a question, every time you feel like you need the support from the community, or this community would embrace you, and you would feel like, like you're not alone. You have a superpower, which is like a lot of other experts that know a lot of things that you don't know. So it's highly valuable. So it all starts with a good start.
Yeah, so for me, I think when you're growing a community, people get like, oh, I'll get this many people in it, and you've got to be constantly thinking about your next move. And for me, I focus on creating so we do like weekly questions, and just to get to know each other, where everyone can chat back and forward. In like every week we'll ask a different question that helps like break down walls and let people get to know each other. But I've really focused on creating something that you only pay £50 a month, you get like 150, £200 worth of masterclasses. You get you get so much that people are like, and I over deliver. And then when I over deliver and they actually join it, and they get a welcome from other members, and they get like a welcome message from me, like an automated welcome message from me. They get featured on the whole LinkedIn page. We've just started a LinkedIn Instagram. There's an intro post that goes in which asks them like their pronouns, so we can be inclusive. We ask them what pets they've got, so it's an initial like conversation starter for people, and that's all in the intro channel so people can see all the new members. And I've made it just my members talk about my community to all of their friends, and they bring in more members. They're like at events going, oh my god, you need to be part of this. They're doing my marketing for me, and then when I'm doing my marketing, I'm also bringing them involved with it. So I've created silly videos of them looking sad and then happy of life before and after the halt, and dancing videos, and like showing people what it's like to be in the halt by involving the members in it. And everything is about showcasing them, and they showcase us in return. That's, I think, the most powerful thing. Like, they all get a graphic every time they join. They get a graphic that they're welcome to post, but there's no pressure to post it. So if you'd like to post it, here is a graphic to say that you've joined the halt. And then they post saying how excited they are that they've joined it and they've just done a masterclass. And we encourage them to share photos of the masterclasses on their social media and things like that. Like, they're my best marketers now. And I put a lot of effort into doing it myself, but they're my best marketers because they're the ones telling everyone else how great it is. I think that's the key
yeah, I completely agree. I mean, having people to market it for you and talk about how great the club is because they're there. I mean, that's like having a testimonial that's active, proactive, and bringing people in. So I think that to me is very, very much the goal. I think the other thing I would add to this conversation is, like, it's important to understand what people value in the club, because in the membership, because it's different, right? So for example, there's some people in my community that like the trainings and the replays, the master classes. They like that, and other people they prefer access to me. They want to ask me questions, and so they want to share their stuff. They're trying to get a TED talk or work on their personal brand, so they want to access Bobby. The other thing that I find too that was new for me was that some people in the club, just to contribute, they actually want a place where they can actually share their thoughts, help other people, which is something I didn't expect. I mean, I wanted them to be contributing and to engaging people, but some people are there. They're not really. They don't need the training. Like, they're actually quite established. They don't need the trainings. They don't really have any questions for me, but they actually want to engage and help other people. So I thought that was very, very sweet. And one of the things I brought to put this question up on the board here, which is about defining a following with X number of people interested in your stuff versus a genuine community, which we have. One of the things I do in the communities, when I do my calls, I tell people this is not a place to pitch your businesses. I said, look, you can. I said, this is a place to build relationships. Build the relationships, help one another. If it leads to something where someone may want to hire you for your stuff because of whatever you do, that's fine. But I said, please don't pitch people. It's a small community. Like, right now, we only have we have 47 people, so it's a small community. I don't want people coming in just pitch slapping in, and I think that that's something for me is a big part of creating the culture, and that's kind of what I want to segue into the question, which is, when you think about your community, how do you curate the right or appropriate culture? That to me, I think, is a really important piece. It's hard to do. So, Carlos, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's probably one of the most difficult things, because there's so many things that it doesn't matter how much you yell people or tell them to do things or behave a certain way, like, people will do whatever they want. So building a culture is probably one of the key elements of having like a healthy community, and having the right culture is going to take a community to a new level, and having the wrong culture, it's going to make it sink to the bottom of the ocean. So I feel like it's definitely having the right members and having when you have the opportunity to chat to each one of these members, definitely you can do a screening and you can decide who, like with my clients now, like, if I don't like them, if I don't feel like a connection, if I don't feel like we can chat and engage in a normal setting, I don't really want to work with them, because I spend a lot of time like working and helping them, and we spend a lot of time together online. And I came up to the conclusion that I don't really want to have any kind of relationship, business or personal, with someone that I don't really like or don't like how they communicate, because it's not going to help other clients either. When your community grows, I think, and Leah will have more information on that, but at the beginning and when you're starting, you just want to build a big community and having as many people as you want. And then you might skip this step of making sure that you get the right members. This is a big mistake. Because if you have like 5 members that really engage, really enjoy, really value what you got, they're going to bring more people in. They're going to be your marketers. But if you put like people in there because you want to, make more money or, like have more members because of the sake of, like monthly recurring revenue or whatever, that's going to explode in your face. And it's perfect recipe for disaster.
So, what do you think about that?
The first way I set the culture was by my presence on LinkedIn and on social media in general. It was that I'm a very blunt but very kind and supportive person, and I don't suffer fools. And that kind of set the tone and attracted a lot of the great people to start with. And then it evolved to a very loud, very cutthroat, no knobs policy. So, and I literally call it that. And there's a set of rules that people get in their welcome message, like this is, and we've got guidelines within the group. And if somebody oversteps or does something, because these communities often get treated like engagement groups, right? And people are asking for, and if that happens, if someone posts a link and says, could you please engage on the post? I literally will politely delete it, politely message them saying, just so you realize this is actually against the rules. Could you rephrase that? You're welcome to post it, but please don't be soliciting engagement. If you just want feedback, fine, but we're not here to just boost each other's like engagement. It would devolve into an engagement group, and that's not what I'm about. So we're very clear with the rules when people come in, and then we'll reinforce those, and my community manager will reinforce those politely and firmly to people if something goes wrong. And most of the time they just go, I'm really sorry, like I would never do that again. There's been one occasion specifically where someone's just given me the ick, and I've gone, you're not for us, and I've just instantly refunded their money and said, thank you very much, but you're not someone that we want. This is not a fit. And I told my community that I'd done that. Didn't tell them who, but I told them I said, if somebody is in the community that is making you uncomfortable, you can come to me about it. If you've tried to resolve it, come to me about it and I will handle it. And if it's somebody that I'm already feeling uncomfortable, I'm quite a good judge of character, I'll just remove them. Even if they don't like it, like I'd rather refund their money and protect members that are in my community than risk a bad attitude souring the whole apple cart. So, and I'm ruthless with it. I will protect my members at all costs, and they know it. And I've talked about it very openly. I've been very, very stern with them, but they know that's me, and they know that I say it all from a place of love and protection, not as a dictator. So I think it starts with who you are as a person and the people that you attract and how you put yourself out there when you're talking about what you're creating. And then it comes down to showing your members that they are your priority, absolutely, and taking care of them is a priority, and leading by example.
Yeah, I mean, and that resonates with me a lot because we had someone, and the majority of the people in my group are women, and we had a guy making sexist derogatory remarks on one of their posts on LinkedIn, and I said, and I after a couple of engagements, I said, no, you're out. People engage you. You weren't responsive. You weren't apologetic for anything. You just took your stance, and that's not the type of community that I want. So I got rid of them, and I took a hard stance. And my women friends in the group know that I'm an ally for them, and I'll support them as best I can. I've always tried to be that way. What's interesting is actually 6-7 months later, they came back and were very, very contrite, apologetic, and saying, listen, I'm sorry for whatever that happened. I realized my mistake, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And then they said they basically wanted to get back into my circle. I still said no. I'm like, good, continue learning and go. And I said, continue learning, go out there, put some nice posts out there, and maybe in my head, maybe a couple of years, I might be able to engage you. For the most part, yeah, no, you're not coming back. So that's what I did. And I also want to throw this thing here. So You always get people like that, but I would absolutely say that Leah makes it clear that you're not to be that plonker. So what is a plonker, Leah? Can you explain? A knob. Okay, what is a knob?
An idiot, like someone, and not a very nice person. I'm trying to just another. You said that, I was like, I need a word that isn't a swear word because Bobby's not going to like it if I say a swear word.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, twat, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. Like,
almost all the words you use are Brit words, but that's funny.
Yeah.
So listen. Yeah. So listen. I want to thank you guys for being part of this conversation, and everyone here. Like, I shared a couple things that we're doing in the TLB Club. We do a monthly live stream. We have weekly Zoom calls with expert trainers. On Thursday, we have Liam Darmody going to talk about using data for your content. And then on Friday, we have Joshua Lee's going to talk about AI and digital content, how to actually leverage AI. But I actually the last thing I want to end with is, the other community support, which is family. And I know that, Leah, you're taking off for family time. I'm going to be taking off for family time too. So, as a last thing today, I thought maybe you want to share, the importance of your family community, and then what are you up to in the next month or so? Maybe share what you're up to.
Eating mince pies and drinking wine. So my son breaks up from his school on Friday. So we are actually, and Bobby, you're going to like this, we're going down to London at the weekend to see Wicked.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I knew it. You love your musicals, don't you? So we're going to do that, and the BBC Earth experience as well, which is like a David Attenborough Planet Earth, like big immersive experience, and do Hamleys and all the Christmas lights and everything. So we're doing that this weekend. And then we've got my mum is visiting for Christmas and her husband. So we'll be spending time with family, dogs, lots of cold walks and fresh air, and me not posting on LinkedIn for a couple of weeks, which I haven't done since I started, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, I'll still be checking messages. I'm taking some time off. Like, I need to give my brain a rest.
No, it's funny. I think Richard Vanderblom talked about taking time off too, and I was like, "Look, like you, I've built a big
post and said, oh, it's so funny because I've said the exact same thing." So,
yeah, and the fact that you built a strong, loyalty, I think people will come back when you come back. So enjoy that vacation, and make sure you follow Leah Turner. Make sure you check out Holt if you want to learn more about it. Carlos, what about you? What's going on with your other community?
My other community is very small. So I'm gonna keep it like very quiet and just cook some nice meals and spend some time at home with my wife, and that's gonna be about it this year. Like nothing special. Like I'm not gonna take time off. I'm gonna take time off calls, which is and that's enough, because the thing is that what I do, I like everything I do. I have fun and yeah, just taking it easy. To me, the most fun days are the ones that I call them a freestyle. I could be working on a funnel. I could be working on a website. I could create a piece of content. I just know that I don't have commitments when it comes to calls or appointments or anything like that, and that's enough. I enjoy the small little things at home.
Sure. No,
yeah.
I mean, I
to be honest, I'm not stopping working completely. I would do my head in. I'll still be running. I'm still doing membership stuff. I'll still
be in Holt. She'll be talking to people.
Posting, engage. Like, I'm not going to be all over LinkedIn. Like, that's the thing for me. It's like I want to stop creating content and give my creativity a little bit of time to replenish, because I feel like I've been running on empty for the last couple of months.
No, I appreciate that, and for me, like, I'm going away out west with my family, and also, speaking of Wicked, I have tickets for Wicked next year in Toronto, but my kids don't know about it yet, so they're gonna go bananas.
They're probably not gonna watch this, though, are they?
Oh no, they're coming. They're gonna love it. My kids
this and ruin the surprise.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, they're not going to watch this, so that's fine. I typically I'll usually work like 2 or 3 hours when I'm away, and in the morning, I have breakfast. I'll do a little bit, and then what are we doing today? We're going swimming. What are we doing? We're going sightseeing, like that. That's kind of how I do it. So I think that's really great. So everyone, and also the big thing I'm doing is, and Leah, actually, thanks for your help. I'm launching a whole TEDx thing. So I'm rebranding. I help people land a TEDx talk. I'm launching a big 5-day challenge in January, and I'm working on a new banner that's just focused on that. And Leah gave me some advice on how to just rebrand everything I'm doing. So that's coming up pretty soon. For those who are a big part of this call, thanks so much. Yeah, any further questions, put them below. And make sure you follow Carlos and all the cool things that he's doing too. I do a lot of work with Carlos in his Business Hub community, which I think is really amazing. I'm a huge advocate of that. And of course, Holt is really good. And if you're interested in Thought Leadership Club, we got a call Thursday, we got a call Friday with Liam Darmody and Joshua Lee, and then I'll be doing stuff for help people with their 2024 planning. So thank you, Leah. Enjoy your holidays. Happy Christmas. Carlos, enjoy your holidays too. And thanks everyone for being here. So long. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.